Qualcomm shares are low this morning despite better than expected quarterly results. Company cautioned that its patent licensing business won't have sales growth this year after an agreement with Huawei expired. CNBC's John Fort spoke to Qualcomm CEO about the demand in China.
Our customers are gaining share, and the premium tier is expanding. And this is all end customer demand. It is end customer demand. It's not channel. And that's a great story. And it's also reflected in our guide for Q2, which is above revenue and consensus on EPS.
Joining us now is John Vinh, KeyBanc Capital Markets equity research analyst. Were you, did it give you pause, the outlook, John, or what's your current thinking on the prospects for Qualcomm?
I was encouraged with their guidance. I mean, the results and guidance were both solidly above expectations. I was a little bit surprised the stock was down pre-markets because these numbers were pretty solid all around. They're seeing strength across their smartphone business in high-end premium tier, and IoT and automotive also upsided.
The reaction then is, I mean, the stock's done well, obviously, but you would use this as a point to enter?
We're sector weight rated on it. So we're not recommending, long-term investors buy Qualcomm, but we did feel that the near-term setup with China subsidies, them getting 100% share at Samsung on the Galaxy S25, was going to be a catalyst for better than expected near-term earnings.
The time dilation, how quickly things happen in quantum leaps, Andrew, I haven't even, and Becky, the whole new method of AI that costs a tenth as much. Have you been on it, Andrew? Have you tried it? Is it as good as all the others?
DeepSeek?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a tenth.
It's pretty extraordinary.
What does it mean? And you can weigh in.
It depends on if you think they stole any of it off of the existing OpenAI sources that are out there. If you believe that they really had as few chips.
There was a reason. There was a reason that NVIDIA was like, oh my God,
down
right?
17%.
Well, yes. This is the piece we just don't know. We just don't know what.
John, do you know?
Yeah, I would say, obviously DeepSeek created a lot of volatility in the markets. I think our view right now is that there's probably not a near-term impact in terms of CapEx spending. We've seen very strong CapEx outlooks by all the major hyperscalers, but certainly if you look at the innovations and the architectural changes that DeepSeek was able to incorporate into its AI models, I would certainly expect over the medium to longer term that companies like OpenAI and Google would all incorporate these changes into their own LLMs, and which ultimately is going to require less compute flop to kind of train these models. So maybe there's a slight decrease in kind of that longer term accelerated compute TAM that we thought. But the flip side of that is it's going to make AI more broadly available to the mass market.
But if you did know, Sorkin, would you do something with NVIDIA long term? I mean, it just seems like this is a game changer if what they say is true, or is it not?
Well, so there's two pieces to this. So if you were to listen to like a Satya Nadella, he would say that the development of DeepSeek is just another sign of how much usage there's going to be long term. So yes, it may be cheaper to ultimately create the model, but that long term, the sort of usage because of all these open source
But what's that mean
models.
for NVIDIA?
Well,
that you'll need as many chips, if not more chips.
Yeah,
I mean, if you
just
look,
bring more players.
I mean, look, if you look at all the CapEx spending that's clearly coming out of these, quarterly, not the quarterly numbers, but we're hearing on these calls just that they plan to spend the same way they were spending a week ago. It seems to not have changed their view, and so
they're spending more.
It's sort of hard to look at it at the moment and say they're overspending. Having said that, we've gone through these cycles. I mean, I go back, we've talked about 1999 and all the fiber that was laid down, and back then, it was too much fiber.
Yeah, that's what Chamath Palihapitiya kind of laid out yesterday. He's seen cycles like this before. Maybe this is the same thing. I don't know what John thinks.
John?
No, I think we've seen these cycles play out repeatedly. There is always going to be innovation in the market, right? Obviously, there's been some innovation here on terms of the development of these AI models, right? So DeepSeek found a way to create a model that requires less compute flops. So that's innovation that I would expect to be incorporated by OpenAI, Google, Microsoft. And so longer term, I would say, we probably need to temper what we think the compute TAM is for these AI semi-names like an NVIDIA, the Marvells, and the Broadcoms of the world. But, the number's still going to be a pretty significant and massive TAM out there.